All right, huge movie fanatics here coming to you in May. And guess what? We're outside for the first time since September, I think.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. I just wanted to give a little thanks to, we got a couple subscribers, like 2 or 3 since our last batch of reviews. I wanted to say thanks a lot for subscribing and thanks for watching. We hope to keep bringing you our reviews of what we think about movies, and we're here to do that with
The Avengers. Marvel's great, epic inclusion of all the superheroes under their name, except for, I think, Blade and Punisher. They own that. But they're dismissible. Anyway, so The Avengers came out this past weekend, and it like smashed the box office. It was astounding. And the movie itself, you know, I got to admit, it is pretty fabulous. The movie was, like, Joss Whedon really knew how to make an ensemble piece and have, like, no one person be the center focus. Everybody gets their due, everybody has their moments, and it seems like pretty evenly balanced and distributed between the characters, which I thought was going to be the hardest thing, is getting these huge personalities to actually all kind of find a balance, because like the want is to make, well, Captain America's the leader, Captain America's the main guy, or Iron Man's the popular one, he's the main focus, or if Thor's the god, let's give him and then just to center the story around one character. They did it really, really well this time around, and it was nice seeing all the characters back and all the characters sort of interacting with one another. That was really kind of neat. But the first hour is kind of slow. That's sort of my one complaint. The first hour is a little slow, but it's really just setting up the dominoes so that when they tip at the end, that and all hell breaks loose, it really becomes worthwhile, and that's where the thing like really comes into a whole and is just a masterpiece of an ending. And that's that's where I come in. The Hulk, I've got to say, the Hulk stole the show for me. And I didn't think that was going to be possible. I'm not a huge Hulk fan. I like the comic books somewhat, but his portrayal in the movies was just kind of poor consistently. But this time they knocked it out of the park. Holy crap. So I'm going to give the movie 4 stars and pass it over to you.
What did you like about so you didn't like the Hulk in the 2 previous movies?
I mean, he was fine. It was a valid take. The take on the Hulk in the valid one, the take on the Hulk in the other 2 was that he was completely just a tortured soul, and you just watched him as he was like immersed in darkness and trying to like get over his self-loathing, and like, I mean, that's a valid take on the character entirely. But the way that
is that not the comic?
I mean, that is part of the comic, but the take that they did in the Avengers was that he'd gotten past that. He knew that there was no hope for him. So the last little thing he was going to do is try to bring hope to other people. Like, that's what he was doing in India, and that's why he was agreed to join the Avenger Initiative to help out Nick Fury as a scientist. He wanted to help mankind as much as he could because he knew that it was the only way he could stay close to it, and because he was an inhuman monster in his mind. So it's like he'd gotten past that crap from before. He accepted it, and as he says in the movie, he accepted it by putting a bullet into his brain. The other guy spit it out, and like, that was, I don't know, it was really cool. And you sort of get that image from like Lethal Weapon, where he has the gun in the mouth, except he actually pulls the trigger and hulks out.
Well, you don't see it.
You don't see it, but you get that image in your head. There's like 30 minutes of deleted scenes, you might see it.
Oh no.
So anyway.
So yeah, I went into it. See, the thing is, you know, I'm kind of, I don't know, this year, I don't know what it is, if it's something going on with my life, just getting older and older, that this year is just like, I don't know, it's just like, normally I used to like, you know, and I still do, like summer movies for the blockbuster in this, but I mean, I don't know, for me, maybe it's just the mood I'm in or something, but right now, it's just like, okay, superheroes, 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 you know, and it's just like, So I went to see it, because obviously I was just going to see it, and it was pretty much what I expected and really nothing more, which is kind of just summer popcorn movie fluff. And I gotta admit, like you said, I was really surprised how slow the first half was and stuff. Yeah. And one thing I'm gonna give him credit for, which you mentioned, is it did what it did well. And what I mean by when I say it did, what I mean by that is it was a summer action superheroes movie, and it did that well, very well. And what I was going to say that you mentioned is that what they did really well is they did manage to have all these characters and give them, you know, all pretty much, it seemed like an equal pretty much amount of time, which was pretty impressive. And that, I mean, you got movies like, you know, back in the day where there's just a fraction, like Batman Returns, of characters, and they completely screw up. You know, it feels like too many, like 3, and it feels like too many.
Well, like the X-Men movies, like especially the first 3, like why not just call him Wolverine?
Oh, yeah,
there was no balance in those
that's
characters.
a good example of.
And I mean, that was a superhero fighting squad too, and
Yeah.
like there was no team aspect to it. It was like, well, what's Wolverine gonna do? Let's turn to him, and and that was the team. This time, everybody relied on each other.
How did you feel about just the villain being, what's his name?
Loki?
Yeah.
I thought he was good. I mean, he was sort of menacing, and they sort of took away his sort of pathos and anger from Thor. I mean, you got the sense that because of what happened in Thor that he was doing everything in this, and he was just sort of straight up angry villain. But they sort of took away the edge of humanity in his a little bit. But I mean, you sort of had to. Like, I mean, it worked for me because I'd seen Thor, like, really recently. I just watched Thor a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So it worked for me. If I hadn't seen Thor, I think I would have been like, why is he even doing what he's doing?
Right,
Like,
that's just it. And I suppose the movie maker's assumption is that we don't have to put that element of his character in this movie, if assuming everyone's seen Thor.
yeah, I mean, the one scene you did get it in is when Thor shows up and steals him out of the plane, and they're yelling at each other on the rocks. That was just so Shakespeare. That was one of my favorite scenes. And then Robert Downey shows up and makes fun of how that was Shakespeare, which was kind of cool. But like that was the one scene where Loki really had to explain to the audience why he was pissed off still over what happened in Thor. That basically he wasn't Odin's son, and that's what pissed him off. And he was gonna, he needed to have a kingdom to rule, and so Earth was gonna be that kingdom.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like I say, summer popcorn action movie. It's inevitable that if you have, how many damn superheroes is in this? I mean,
6 of the main.
right. I mean,
heroes.
it's inevitable if you have that many people that the whole thing ultimately, and from a writing standpoint, is going to be like a puzzle, and it's going to be like, okay, you know, Cap gets his little bit here. Who's next? You know, okay, whatever. What's her name? Is it Black Widow?
Black Widow, yeah.
She gets. We'll put her. Oh, there's a good part for them to, you know. So to me, the movie felt like very much a mechanical thing where it's like, this is their turn, like the introductions, which, like I say, is competent. The thing is, I'm conflicted because it's like I say, for what it is, it's competent. It does what it does competently, but what it does doesn't blow my socks off, and what it does is just be a superhero, whatever. And the problem is, and we mentioned it with Loki, with the movie with so many characters, is that within the movie itself, you don't really have time to do too much of character sentimentality, which I felt. I mean, I guess there was a little
There
bit. What's his
definitely
name?
was.
Who died?
Yeah, Craig Larson.
Who's that?
Or no, Clark Craig. He was Phil Coulson.
Right,
Agent
Coulson,
Phil Coulson.
right.
Yeah, there was
I thought-
definitely.
I also thought that was kind of shitty that Samuel kind of lied. You know, it's like, yeah, we found these in his shorts.
That
And
was
then
brilliant. I loved it.
you like the fact that he lied?
It pissed me off. It made you hate him, but you understand why he had to do it, because these people needed something.
They needed a
to
lie.
do. They needed something.
They needed a lie.
They needed something to propel them, and that was what it was. And Coulson was even saying that was like what his fighting word or last words were. Was he's like, it's okay, they needed it. And then he didn't even get to finish the sentence. But
Yeah.
I took that to mean that, well, this is what they needed. My death is going to is going to bring them together. And that was the thing that I really liked.
Well, I think it's funny that the fact that the cards were in his pocket versus in his locker is going to make the difference, you know?
Well, yeah. Well, the fact that
so
they
did he
were
put ketchup on him, or what?
I just assumed that he probably went.
That'd be a great till he hit the scene.
It's just like, hold up. Where did he stab you? Okay.
Yeah, these were in his pocket.
Yeah,
well, he was
but
shot
you
in his
also
leg.
you got like emotional sentimentality from, I thought, the Hulk, especially when he shows up at the end of the movie on the little bike, and when he falls into the building and the old man is there. Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry Dean, man. At first I thought, did Stan Lee die? Or is he too sick to do? I thought he was doing Stan Lee's little thing.
Yeah.
Harry Dean, man.
Yeah, that was such a great scene. But just the fact that guy accepted him, like, that was so cool.
Yeah. You know what? You know what I actually like? I actually like the way Bruce Banner was portrayed in this movie.
Oh,
he was
totally.
Just like genius. I know it. I'm just low key.
Yeah.
Not low key. Low key.
Yeah. Oh, he was so good.
And I really loved. At first, I was like, oh god, because I'm not particularly a fan of that guy. But I thought, god damn, I thought he did well, and he was just so, like I say, and I thought it was one thing I did think was. I thought it was great that it was a while before he hulked.
Yeah, and once he did, like, it really was worthwhile. I liked his Hulk thing.
One question is, it's been like 9 years since that first Hulk movie, and it's just like, why can't, it doesn't look any better, does he, Hulk?
Oh, are you kidding me? I thought he looked astounding here. The other two, he just looked like a joke. It was a digital joke. This was astounding.
All three of them were digital jokes.
Internet, tell him wrong.
Internet, tell him wrong. Did you see it in 3D?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did, and I came out going like,
It was a digital conversion. That's why I was like, screw that.
No, I heard it was a conversion. I heard it was. You said before it was.
Originally, he intended to shoot it that way, but then they decided to switch it up, and it was a digital conversion.
Oh.
So he was saying, like, he's shooting it with that in mind, but it's still going to be a conversion.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The more I see, I haven't even seen, the last 3D movie I saw in the theater was Transformers. The more I see 3D in the theater, which isn't very often, the more I'm like, yeah, things are, there's distance, there's depth, so what? The more you go, the more it's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, and that, like, the movie was dark, especially in the first half. No wonder you weren't, like, blown away, because, like, I would have fallen asleep in that opening stuff, just because, just because of how dim it was, and then when you have the dimmer glasses, like, yeah, so I understand that. But the other character I was going to say you got a lot of emotional attachment to, I thought, was they did a really good job with Iron Man.
Yeah.
Making him slightly different. Like, he was still playing the cocky bastard that he was in the other two, but now he had something to motivate him, which was the death of Phil. And you saw how they sort of bonded a little bit in the beginning of the movie, and how he and Pepper were bonding and stuff like that. And then once he dies, like, my favorite scene in the movie is when he's like, and there's somebody else you pissed off. His name was Phil.
Yeah.
Like, that was my favorite scene in the movie. It was when he confronts Loki out of costume, and it's just a man versus man sort of fight. Like, that was where Tony Stark is a hero because of that scene. And it was also goes back to the conversation that he and Captain America were having, where he's like, small man in the suit, who are you? Other than that, what are you? Like, that whole speech, and then he's like, at the end of the day, if the world needs saving, you're not going to be the one to do it. And he's like, no, I'd cut the wire. And so when the missile's coming, who's the one that goes and takes it up? He's the one that, he's really proving that, he does have it in him. He's selfish, he's kind of a prick, but these people are who he cares about. He just needed to realize that. And it sort of took Captain America and Coulson to really point that out to him. And so there was little things like that that I thought were insanely well constructed, and that's why this is more than just the average superhero movie, because of little things like that. And there were so many great scenes that all of the characters had. Like, just phenomenal scenes. One of my other favorite scenes in the movie was when Black Widow's talking to Loki in the cage, and he's manipulating her, and you see how she just sort of shuts down, and she loses herself into her depression and whatnot, and then all of a sudden you realize she's been playing him the whole time. She just needed to find out what he knew, and that's her gift. That's what makes her super. She can manipulate the most manipulative person in the galaxy. That was genius.
Yeah, that was good.
Did you stay for both end credit?
Yeah, I did.
I really like the second one.
You like that?
That made me laugh out loud. Just superheroes sitting down eating food, like that's so absurd. That made me laugh out loud.
What did you think about the end with the? I mean, all the generic kind of army creatures and shit.
They were kind of cool. I mean, they
kind of generic. I have a huge problem with the end and just being like the generic army of bad guys, and then those big whatever the hell those things were, which they look exactly like the shit in Transformers 3 at the end. So it was like I was watching the end of Transformers 3.
But you could follow the action is the difference. There was no differentiation in the fighting in that one. In this one, you could follow the action. You never lost the action in this movie. You could always figure it out, and it wasn't boring. That was the change.
Yeah,
like the 10 minutes into Transformers 3, it's like, oh god, how much longer do I have of this? And the battle went on for another hour. This battle is probably the exact same length. Never was boring.
I think it's only like 20 minutes long or something.
Oh, it's much longer than that. I've seen it twice. I clocked it.
But exactly how long is it, Mr. Clock?
Well, I looked at my watch and I was like, well, there's still a substantial amount of movie to go. I mean, like the final battle there goes on for a good long while. But so the like you're following the action the whole time. It's going between the different characters. You can tell that they're different people fighting these things. Like there's no loss of action. That's the problem with the Michael Bay things. Is he's just like, well, we'll just put explosions. They'll figure it out. And this time, Joss was like, all right, we need to really follow this. The camera sweeps and pans, and it even does go handheld for a while, but it didn't make you sick.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask. There was a few handheld.
Yeah, no. It worked perfectly for me. Like, I mean, that's the way to sort of use handheld, just minimally to show the distress that's going on around you. And I don't know, I like Alan Silvestri's score quite a bit.
What happened to him, man? I mean, Jesus Christ! I could tell like halfway through that. Oh yeah, that sounds like Sylvester. It sounds like Captain America. But I mean, in the old days.
Oh, I thought it was all the way through.
Oh god, I mean, it's nothing. I don't know what's happened, but it's nothing like the old days when you got like Back to the Future, Predator. I mean, those are such Silvestri, and now it's just like Eraser. I mean, like Eraser. I haven't heard everything he's done since Eraser, but I mean, Eraser was just like okay. I could hear him in it every now and then, but it's so. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, but you liked it.
Here's what worked. The difference between the Alan Silvestri then and the Alan Silvestri now. Name more than 2 themes out of Predator or out of Back to the Future. He really did like 2 or 3 main themes, and then he just reused them over and over again.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Well, that gets repetitive. That gets old. This, he had several different main themes over the course of the movie, giving a main theme to each one of the characters. Because there's more than just one.
Yeah, they were so bland. And, they were so whatever.
It's
I didn't know
together
they were
so wonderfully. It was a great. And then the Avengers had their own theme. I thought it was a terrific score. One of the best I've heard in a while. So, and I'm totally going to buy the CD the moment that comes out.
It's not out yet?
No, they released the soundtrack.
Oh, you mean the stupid songs?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I really like that. Like this movie really sort of took what you can do with a hero movie, a superhero movie, and showed you that you can make a huge ensemble thing. And I'm excited to see how the other characters sort of intertwine in each other's movies. Because I'd be surprised if like Banner didn't show up, not necessarily as the Hulk, but as Banner in like another Iron Man movie or something like that. Like you can see how they might collaborate a little bit now, and that interests me.
Who the hell's that guy who turned his head to the camera?
Thanos.
Okay, see, I don't know anything about comics. Thanos.
Yeah, he's the supreme ruler of the galaxy. He's a good villain.
My basic problem with the whole movie at the end of the day was the fact that you start off with this bad guy, this Loki. He comes into whatever, he gets transported, whatever, does all this shit. At the end, they capture him and bring him back, and it's just like all we have is destruction, and we're just at the very beginning. Nothing was accomplished except destruction, and it's like he's still alive. He's going to do it again.
Okay, but here's the difference. Here's the Live Free or Die Hard is a good example of this. All this chaos goes on for 2 hours, and then it comes down to this final battle, and what happens? Bruce Willis shoots the dude dead, end of movie. That's it. He has no comeuppance. His comeuppance is that he's shot dead, and that's it. That's the victory. In this, the moment that the chaos starts happening, Loki gets his ass kicked throughout the entire ending. Like, Hawkeye explodes his face, Iron Man is shooting him, Thor beats the crap out of him, and then the Hulk comes in, and as he's talking down to the Hulk, and just beats the shit out of him. Like, there's a real sense of comeuppance, and then at the end, when they're all standing around him, and Hawkeye has the bow right to his face, like, he's defeated, and that's the thing that's impressive. He wasn't killed, he wasn't destroyed, it wasn't like every other superhero movie out there, like what happens in Iron Man 1 and 2, bad guy dies. What happens in Captain America, bad guy dies. What's the comeuppance there?
Oh, I didn't think necessarily Red Skull died. I thought that maybe he got sucked into.
Might have been sucked into.
I didn't think he died. I thought he got sucked in the show back later. Well, I didn't think he died. I don't know. To me, it didn't seem like Loki was like, "Gosh, you guys got," you know. It didn't seem like that to me.
Villain?
No, well, that's the problem. Well, that's the problem. That's why it seemed like to me. It's just like it doesn't matter how much he got beaten up. He was just like. You got me now, but just wait until I get out again.
The moment,
you know,
the moment he was like,
that's what it was for me.
Well, the moment that he was like, "All right, Stark, we'll have that drink now," like that. Like
that's because he's a smart person knows when he's temporarily outgunned.
Chances are, yeah, he'll come back in a later installment, but I'd rather have a Lex Luthor kind of villain who shows up multiple times.
All right. I just don't like Loki. A reason why is because I'm not a big one for that Shakespearean stuff and his little, like, what he's Mr. Reindeer games. That was pretty funny. There was a lot of funny lines in the movie, so I'll give it props for funny lines. And I don't like Loki. I didn't like his army of generic, you know, whateverins, and that's my problem. 2.5 stars for me. Just summer.
Easy 4.
2.5 stars for me. All it is, popcorn, summer, fluff. It does what it does very well, probably as good as it could possibly be, which is like I say, meshing all of these action heroes all together. But at the end of the day, what is that? Nothing. It's just it's a cool fluff action, you know.
At the end of the day, it's entertainment, and that's what people went to the theater for.
Yeah, I know, but it's so by the numbers, within the constraints of what you expect. I mean, it's exactly what I expected, and nothing more. And it worked very comfortably within those expectable constraints of summer action hero popcorn movie. And that's my problem. So it did what it did really well, and I'm done.
I'm gonna
2.5 stars.
I'm gonna give it 4 stars. It did what it did insanely well. It did it better than I expected it because, like, no matter how, like, I have full faith in this filmmaker, I had full faith in this franchise, but no matter what, when you see franchises blend into one, something happens that's not good. Look at Star Trek Generations, look at Freddy vs. Jason, Alien vs. Predator. This blended everybody from the same universe, yes, but it did it insanely, remarkably well. It was smart, it had so many brilliant scenes, many of which we haven't even talked about. It had such good acting, especially from Downey, from Ruffalo, like across the board. It had really good. Chris Evans was great, and Clark Craig was phenomenal in his little bit too. This was a great movie. This was 4 stars, and I can't wait to see what the Avengers have in store next.
All right, sounds great. Are we done?
Yes, we're done. Peace.
All right. See you next time.